So folks, keep in mind there are two types of bowling balls primarily used. One's an asymmetrical bowling ball, the other one's a symmetrical bowling ball. And what that means is we're talking about the shape of the core, the inside of that bowling ball. Now an asymmetrical core is not perfectly balanced. And so what that means is as that bowling ball goes down the lane, it creates a lot of wobble and a lot of track flare potential. And it basically is saying this is a big engine, it's a big bowling ball, this is the strongest, most aggressive type of core that's used in our sport today. The other core is the symmetrical core. Now that core is much more complete, more rounded, and pretty much the same shape all the way around that weight block. The reaction that weight block creates is something that's much cleaner through the front part of the lane, but also creates a lot more down lane motion. So in building a 3-ball arsenal, I would start with the big ball, the strong one, the big engine, the really strong cover stock, and that would be my big asymmetrical bowling ball. My second ball in my 3-ball arsenal is going to be my benchmark ball. It's going to be a symmetrical ball, a symmetrical core, and it's going to be something that I use maybe every time I bowl league. I know exactly what this ball does each and every time I pull it out of the bag. The last ball in my 3-ball arsenal is going to be a urethane ball. And for two reasons. One, if the lanes are tricky and difficult, I can move to the right and go much straighter with that, but also I can use that urethane ball for my spare shooting. All right, folks, let's talk about a 6-ball arsenal. I'm still going to start with that real strong, asymmetrical, sanded cover stock ball. That's going to be my driver. That's going to be the big ball in my arsenal. The next ball in my 6-ball arsenal is going to be a pearlized asymmetrical ball. Let's say maybe I still want that same strength, but I need something that's going to be a little bit cleaner through the front part of the lane. The next ball from there that I migrate to is going to be a symmetrical bowling ball that probably has surface. Something that blends the lanes out, but it's not overly aggressive. Maybe the lanes are a little bit drier and I can't use my asymmetrical stuff. So I go to that ball, something that's still going to hook, but it's not going to be too aggressive too early. The next ball in that arsenal, my benchmark ball. The 5th ball in my arsenal is going to be a pearlized symmetrical bowling ball. This is for when the lanes start to break down, forces me deep into the middle part of the lane. I have to have something that's going to be clean enough to get through the front part of the lane, but have enough on the back part of the lane to get around the corner, because now once I move in, my angles get steep and I have to get something that's going to come around the corner. If I'm throwing a bowling ball that's too aggressive too early, it's never going to make it around the corner. It'll never come up the hill. So when I start to really try to hook or curve the lane, I go to that pearlized symmetrical ball. And then finally, the last ball in that arsenal is going to be a urethane ball or a plastic ball. For those of you that don't like urethane, go to the plastic for your spares. For those of you that do like urethane, it's the best of both worlds. You can use it for strikes and you can also use it for spares. Well, there you have it, folks. I hope this information is helpful in putting together an arsenal. If you need more information, feel free to visit your local pro shops to help you put the best arsenal together for your game. When to change bowling balls? You know, it's a great question, and I think it's even more complex today than ever because there's so many equipment choices out there, right? I think that if somebody were to walk up to me off the street and say, hey, Randy, when should I change balls? I would tell that person, well, there's a number of factors that are involved. First things first, you're not hitting the pocket consistently. It's probably a bad ball choice or the wrong ball. It's not reading the pattern properly. And when your ball does get to the pocket, it doesn't strike. Again, not going through the pins properly, not the right piece of equipment. Let's talk about transition. You know, the lanes are always changing. They change with every ball thrown down the lane. So how about this scenario? You're playing a part of the lane that you feel very comfortable with, and then all of a sudden that area gets really dry. So what do we have to do? We have to start migrating towards the deep inside part of the lane. Well, maybe the player is not comfortable doing that. So what has to happen? They have to ball down. They have to go to a ball that's cleaner, that's less aggressive, so they can stay in that same zone. I think another big factor is trust, right? How many times have you seen a player throw a shot and the ball goes through the nose or it goes light, and the player comes back and says, man, I thought I threw that good. I guess I didn't. No. If you feel like you threw it well, you got to go with that feel. You got to trust your game enough to understand, well, I'm not going to let that reaction fool me. I'm going to make an adjustment off of that. Maybe I'm going to change balls, because if you doubt yourself and do the same thing again, you've wasted another frame. I've seen countless times on the PBA Tour where a player starts off red hot, maybe first 6 or 7 strikes in a row, and then towards the latter part of the game, all of a sudden the pin carry changes or their ball reaction changes a little bit, okay? Even though the player shoots in the 250s, they change balls the next game. They see that pattern changing enough, that oil pattern changing just enough, that warrants them to make a ball change. A lot of that comes from experience and them being at an elite level and a lot of help from tour reps, but these players see that transition and they understand, well, I can keep migrating in, or maybe I have to migrate in and change balls. Also, you should understand ball progression. If you have an arsenal put together, you should understand which one's the driver and which one's the putter and which one's the sand wedge and which one's the 5-iron. My most aggressive bowling ball, and then what's the next piece of equipment I go to. If I need to ball down, I'm going to this ball. I know exactly what this ball does. Well, that one's too strong. I got to keep going down the list until I find the right match for that oil pattern and that transition. And then finally, folks, I think you have to understand about staying in your comfort zone. Again, a player that likes to go down and in or straighter can't really afford to move way in and create this much angle, right? So they have to change balls, they have to ball down so they can stay in that comfort zone. It's very important that you understand what your comfort zone is. Also, very important to understand when to change balls. I hope this helps you guys get to that next level. How to modify your fit during competition. Now keep in mind that the thumb is constantly shrinking and swelling based on environment, based on what you had to eat last night. And so here are a couple of tips on trying to keep that fit nice and secure. I think the majority of the players that have any kind of arsenal are all using an interchangeable thumb. And it can go from one bowling ball to the next, and that thumb is going to feel exactly the same, and that fit's going to feel the same from one ball to the next ball. Also, folks, a lot of players carry multiple thumbs in different sizes based on what their thumb's doing that day or that particular week. Maybe they haven't been practicing a lot. The thumb actually goes down. The more they bowl, that thumb starts to swell, it starts to get a little bit bigger. They can go to a bigger insert. Now, whether or not you have a thumb insert or you don't, you're always going to be using tape. And I'm going to show you the right way to apply tape. Now, there's 2 different types of tape. We have the black and we have the white. The black tape is nice and slick. The white tape actually has texture to it. I personally like the white tape because I tend to squeeze. So I like to get in there and I like to have something to hold on to. Typically what we do is we like to line that tape up with the back flat part of the thumb or the front flat part of the thumb. I'd never use it on the sides of the thumb. It rubs me raw. Keep in mind, if you put this in the front part of the thumb hole, on that flat part of your thumb, it's actually going to slightly increase the length of the span. And so that would go in like this. So my thumb actually lays in the ball this way. So the front part would look like this. Press it down. All of a sudden I have a lot more grip here. The other option is putting it in the back flat part of the thumb. And this time I'm not even going to use a screwdriver. There you have it. And it's okay to use both the front and the back part of that thumb hole for tape. Don't be afraid to use tape. I mean, it's made for a reason. And it's so helpful. You feel that thumb starting to get a little big, grab some tape, load that thumb hole up. The only thing I want to caution you on is if you're using an excessive amount of tape, you probably need to be refitted. That's the time to go into your local pro shop and have them look at your thumb hole. For those of you that are not using an interchangeable thumb, I would suggest having plenty of tape on hand so that you can get each and every one of your bowling balls to fit the same. One of the players that comes to mind on the PBA Tour that's constantly fidgeting with his tape is Norm Duke. He actually uses a cork insert. That's what they used to use back in the 50s and 60s. The reason why Norm does that, why he uses the cork, he just loves the way it feels. It's a feel thing for him. All right, there you have it, folks. Remember, tape is your friend. Keep plenty on hand. If you need more help with this process, make sure you visit your local pro shop operator. Bowling ball maintenance. You know, you invest a lot of money in bowling balls these days, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to increase the longevity of that investment. What we have on the table here are some chamois, some cleaners, some polish, and some Abralon pads. And let's start first with the chamois. You see the pros do it all the time. Ball comes out of the ball return, it's got an oil ring on it. Players wipe that surface down because they want a fresh surface each and every time they throw the ball. When it comes to cleaners, folks, you want to clean the bowling ball after you're done bowling. Put a clean ball back in the bag, not before you're going to use it the next time out. And cleaners are specific to the certain type of cover stocks that you're using. So consult with your pro shop experts to find out which cleaner is best for you. Let's talk about altering the surface of a bowling ball. You can do this yourself, folks, and typically this is done before the start of competition. Maybe you find out in practice, hey, I need some more surface. Grab yourself some Abralon pads. You can buy these online and they come in different grits. This is 4,000, 2,000, and 1,000. Obviously the 4,000 is a finer grit. Let's say you just need a little bit more grab. Make sure that you work in a circular motion and you sand the entire bowling ball. You need some more bite? Go to that 1,000 grit and you're gonna create instant friction. And the beauty of the bowling balls today is you can take them from a sanded condition, grab some polish, take it into the pro shop and have your pro shop operator put it on a ball spinner, use that polish, and you can shine that ball in a matter of minutes. They're very versatile, and that's what makes them so great today. So there you have it, folks. Grab yourself some of these items. Keep them in your bag. This is going to help the longevity of your equipment. It's also going to help maintain that consistent reaction for a much longer period of time.